Okay, everybody. Alright, we are back. So sorry about that. My phone has this really annoying feature to where when it gets too hot, it literally shuts off the LTE, like the internet and the Wi-Fi. It shuts it all down. And so I can't like stream when it's hot. But my phone has cooled off sufficiently now, so we can continue the live stream. We're going to keep everything under the shade, and hopefully it does not heat up again. I also partially took off my phone's case, so hopefully that helps it dissipate heat better. But my phone heats up real fast sometimes. So yeah, let's get back to talking about aquaponics. We were talking about microbes, right?
Yeah.
So the microbes, you have a couple main classes of microbes. So first you have the Nitrosomonas, the ammonia oxidizing bacteria. So let's get this chart up. Ammonia oxidizing bacteria will take your ammonia, your NH3/NH4+. The form at which ammonia exists in solution is pH dependent, with NH4+ existing at a lower pH because it is being donated hydrogen ions from an acidic solution, and then the NH3, the gaseous ammonia, existing in solution as a dissolved gas at higher pH ranges. And that's why at a higher pH, as you go up in your pH, ammonia becomes more toxic because of the chemistry of ammonia in like an acidic or basic solution. So there's ammonia, and then we have your ammonia oxidizing bacteria, which are mainly Nitrosomonas. So the Nitrosomonas family of bacteria, they'll oxidize ammonia into nitrate by kicking off those hydrogens and adding on 2 oxygens. Then we have our nitrite oxidizing bacteria. And the nitrite oxidizing bacteria, which include mainly Nitrobacter and Nitrospira, will take that nitrite and kick on an extra oxygen to make it nitrate, NO3-. And nitrate, once again, is relatively non-toxic to the fish. So we really need these bacteria in the system. And in order for these bacteria to do their job, they need to have high oxygen levels in the water. That's why the bell siphon and the media bed configuration is so great, because we have high dissolved oxygen in the water. Because all that air is being pulled into the water and pulled into the system and pulled into the bed where the bacteria is growing every single time the bed drains. But at the same time, even when there's no water in the bed, you can see the media is still going to be moist. We have this little film of water on it, and that allows a biofilm of these bacteria to exist on the media. Right? So, sort of like how you have a biofilm of bacteria and other microorganisms on individual soil aggregates in the soil, right? And that's why it's important to keep soil moist, because if there's no moisture in soil, then the biofilm will dry out and the microbes will go dormant, right? So same sort of deal in aquaponics, but we're continually flooding the bed with water to deliver constant oxygenated water that is rich in those nitrogen species, these byproducts of the fish excreta into the water to continually feed the bacteria. And we also continually feed the fish, of course, every single day. So then we have another class of bacteria and microbes, very diverse, called heterotrophs. And so you have bacteria, you might have some fungi, you have protozoans, you have even worms. Like the biggest heterotrophs in the system are worms. And this is an entire ecosystem that deals with the solid fish waste, the fish poop. So basically breaks down the complex carbon-containing organic compounds in the fish waste into smaller and smaller forms until eventually mineral nutrients get released into the water. And so this is your P, your K, your Fe, your Mg, your Mn, your Ca, your S, all of your other important nutrients, important elements on the periodic table for proper plant nutrition, right? So the thing to know, though, is that fish waste is deficient in certain nutrients, right? It's not very abundant in potassium, and it's not very abundant in iron. And these things we have to supplement. And also we do have to supplement magnesium in some cases, like if we're growing very demanding fruiting crops such as tomatoes and eggplants and strawberries. We need to supplement with magnesium too. And it also is good to supplement with like micronutrients in general. But you don't really need to add many of these nutrients, and if you have a device on your aquaponics system called a mineralization tank, you need to add them barely any at all. I had at home, I would say this system needs to get dosed with supplemental nutrients once every 3 weeks, once every 3 weeks. And the one at my house, I would go for 6 months without dosing it because I had a mineralization tank out there. And the mineralization tank allows the fish waste to fully break down. But we still have really good breakdown in the media bed, but we do need to clean out the sludge that is accumulated, sort of like semi-regularly, once every 6 months to a year, maybe 2 years depending on the system. And we also do have to filter out some of the solid fish waste because otherwise it'll clog up the system. Aquaponic systems are very good at performing nitrification, which is the process of converting that ammonia to nitrite first and then nitrate, but they're not quite as good at mineralization, converting the solid fish waste and breaking it down. It's a process that requires a lot more, work, at least biologically. This system doesn't quite have it down, but you can design systems with additional devices such as mineralization tanks and certain kinds of filters that are able to break down the solid fish waste more fully, right? And so, in doing so, the microbes have cleaned the water and converted the fish waste into plant-available nutrients, which the plants can then take up. So the plants then remove these nutrients from the water, cleaning the water further and ensuring that there isn't an accumulation of too much nutrients in the water. So that's how aquaponics works. That's a symbiosis of aquaponics. It's a very beautiful system, and very, very cool way to grow plants, and they grow very fast and very healthily. It's hard. It's hard, and so you have to know what you're doing. And it's about you can't have a heavy hand with aquaponics. I learned a lot personally about not having a heavy hand by doing aquaponics. You have to be very careful with what you do, because you don't want to radically change the chemistry of the system. You don't want to cause something to happen too quickly. Processes in nature can't happen too quickly, otherwise it'll shock the ecosystem, it'll shock the system, right? So, number one mistake people make in aquaponics is shocking the system. And, that's if you add too much acid, because we do have to reduce the pH as well. Aquaponics is not totally self-sustaining. The nitrification process will lower the pH, and adding tap water can raise the pH. Since our tap water here is very alkaline, we usually have to lower the pH. Over time, nitrification can, especially in larger systems, can lower the pH. Because in larger systems, we typically add less water at once, the acidity produced by the nitrification process and the mineralization process that also is acidifying will sort of blow through all of those alkaline minerals, that hardness in the water, and then cause the pH to go down at the time. This is also the case if you're using a reverse osmosis filter. Your pH will tend to be low, and you have to usually add some kind of weak base to the system that is rich in potassium and calcium. So we add calcium carbonate and potassium bicarbonate to raise the pH when we need to, and to lower it, we add phosphoric acid, which is an additional source of phosphorus, and a food-safe acid. They put it in soda. It's as safe as it can be for food. It'll rot your teeth. It's what rots your teeth when you drink soda. But, in an aquaponics system, in the right doses, it's a very good thing. And we usually only add a couple milliliters per time. Things in the ground?
Oh, I think we're back.
All right. Oh, we're back. Nice. I was talking about figs. I love figs. Fig trees are awesome. Anyways, sorry about that. It seems to be helping with taking the case off, but anyways, what was I talking about? I was talking about water chemistry, wasn't I? Yeah, so you have to add, you have to adjust the pH of the water regularly. And we can show you guys how to do that. But first we need to test the water temperature. This is the kit that I like to use. This is the API Freshwater Master Test Kit. And this is very easy to get online or at a well-stocked pet or pond supply store. The pond supply store will carry it. Some pet stores might carry it. Wouldn't expect to find it in Petco though, because they only sell the basic quick kits for aquarium hobbyists. And this is something for people who have home aquariums, but this is more was designed for serious aquarium hobbyists who want to keep a closer eye on their system. So we have these 4 test tubes right here, and in each test tube we need to withdraw a 5 milliliter sample of system water. I'll show you how to do it. So perfect timing, the bell siphon's going. These are clean test tubes, they don't have any residues in them. So we want to rinse out the test tubes several times. Right. And then we are going to flick out the water until we have 5 milliliters each. So we have our sample. I'm going to put them back in here. I need to go get some gloves, because safety first. Bear with me, I'll be right back. Alright, so nitrile gloves are pretty good, but you really want the thick neoprene ones, but these will suffice. Just like the similar kind of gloves to that you would use for like washing dishes, except like the extra chemical resistant ones, those are the best. And they're reusable too. I hate disposable things because I'm very ecologically minded. We do our best to, you know, reduce waste here. But, you know, in a pinch, these work. That's also why we don't waste any of the plant material we grow here, because it is a very valuable resource for your garden. Mm-hmm. It contains the most important nutrient for soil, which is carbon. Alright, so there are 4 tests that we're going to do here. The first one is going to be the nitrate test. So with the nitrate test, we have 2 bottles of reagent. So this is bottle number 1, we're going to add 10 drops of that. This is bottle number 2, we're going to add 10 drops of this. So, look at the warnings on the back, you know, be familiar with the chemical warning symbols. So this is a corrosive substance, and it is also a hazardous irritant. So don't get it, don't be done with it. So we're going to add 10 drops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Proper chemical handling and storage is very important, even for stuff you can get at, like, a pond supply store. So we're going to mix that up, cap this back up. So this is a solution, so we didn't need to shake it, but this one is a suspension. There are tiny crystals suspended in the water, and they do settle slowly over time. So we need to make sure that we agitate the crystals and get a homogeneous suspension. And I like to do that by striking it a bit against my palm to, like, maybe break up any crystals that have, you know, I guess coagulated. And then we're going to just shake this very thoroughly. It says to do it for 30 seconds, but I don't think that's necessary. We don't need exact readings, we just need to know ballpark. And we'll interpret the readings after we take the test. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Alright, so this is going to develop over the course of the next 5 minutes, and it will change color from yellow to orange to red, and then we can use the color chart to read the nitrate levels. So we're going to go ahead and place that back in there. I can see it's already changing color, which is awesome. You want to have nitrate. So then we're going to do the nitrate test, and this one is just 5 drops. So doing these tests will give us a snapshot of the overall health of the system's microbiome, because we know that if nitrification is working correctly, then not only is ammonia getting turned into nitrate, but our other compounds are getting turned into are getting broken down into their mineral constituents. The solid fish waste, that is. So there we go, just shake that, add 5 drops and shake it. So if nitrification is working very well, that means the system is healthy, which means that media bed is not clogged. You know, we're getting enough oxygenation in the system, and it's a good environment for the microbes that we need, the aerobic microbes, right? And all the microbes that we want to have breaking down the solid fish waste, the poop, are also aerobic microbes. So we know if we have a good environment for nitrifying bacteria, we have a good environment for heterotrophs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And this is ammonia bottle number 1. You can already see we have some results developing. So we're going to add 8 drops and shake that. And we have ammonia bottle number 2. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Alright, there we are. So we're going to allow that to develop as well. And the last test we're going to do is the pH test, because this is an instant test. I like to save it for last, because then by the time I get the results of my pH test, the other results are almost done. Okay, so If we think our system is on the acidic side, we use this. If we think it is on the basic side, we use this. And last time we topped off the system and tested the water, it was sort of neutral. So it's better to use this stuff if it's neutral. So what we're going to do is we're going to once again open our bottle. And this time, we're just going to add 3 drops. This is our pH indicator solution. 1, 2, 3. Add 3 drops. Give it a good little invert and shift. And there we go. So we're going to wait a couple minutes for those results to develop. Any questions, you can just once again drop them in the chat. And yeah, we'll talk more about the features of the system. So, additionally, if you come down here, you can kind of see it. It's hard to see, but we do have a filter down there that is pre-filtering the pump to remove some of the solid fish waste particles, because again, the system is not 100% efficient at dealing with solid fish waste, so we need to have that pre-filter on the pump in order to exclude some of the finer fish waste particles and prevent the bed from getting clogged up with fish waste. We'll clean that periodically. If we have time, we'll show you guys how to clean that today. But first, I think what I would like to do is test feed the fish, and this is a great way to assess the health of your fish. So unfortunately, this thing is broken, or at least it seems like it is. I don't know why it broke, but it did. So I'm just going to reach in here. You know what? Let's use the flakes, because it's easier to see if they're eating with the flakes.
Okay.
Because the flakes float this. Alright. So what we have here are spirulina flakes. You can get 25 pounds of them for like $175. And this makes a great fish feed for goldfish and aquaponics. We're going to toss it in there. Eventually they're going to smell it, because fish mainly navigate by smell. And these fish were introduced recently, so they're still a little bit shy, a little bit skittish, so they may not come up and eat right now. But it seems like they smelled the food, and they're waiting for it to fall to the bottom, because some of it will sink, and then they're eating it. They're not coming up to the surface yet, because they're still acclimating to the system. But once we have these fish well acclimated, they will come up to the surface when they eat. But we can see them eating down there. They have noticed the food, and they're sort of like picking it out of the water, and they are very hungry. Hungry fish are happy and healthy fish. So,
wow, they're going for it.
They are really going for it. And we know that these fish don't have any issues. And this is the first time, actually, I've introduced a bunch of feeder goldfish to a system and only had 1 death. Usually your mortality rate for feeder goldfish is anywhere between 10 and 20% if you have a good introduction. But these guys are really happy, so now we know if we need feeders, we buy from that vendor. Anyways, yeah, we put feeder goldfish in there, aka comet goldfish, and it's very easy to get large quantities of them cheaply, which is great. And once they are acclimated to a system, they are very tough. Very, very tough. They can handle all of the temperatures that our outdoors can throw at them, as long as you have a large enough system. This one's kind of on the small side, so it can get too hot for them at times, but they're great fish. I also like tilapia. I love tilapia. The problem with tilapia is you have to keep the water heated in the winter, but they are so tough, and you can eat them. I'm not sure if you'd want to eat these guys, but they will get fairly large in the system. I've seen them get up to 7 inches. Tilapia will get up to 1 foot long. But yeah, so feeder goldfish are awesome, especially if you're first starting out. You will fail, you will kill a lot of fish, but it's part of the process, unfortunately. Alright, so now that we've assessed our fish health, let's have a look at our results. Nitrate test. Between 40 and 80, we'll call that 60 parts per million. So when you're growing leafy greens like kale, you want 40 to 80 parts per million. We're at 60, so right on the money. So nitrite. 0 nitrite, which means we have...
We're back.
All right, we're back. So we were reading the results, and I believe we were on the ammonia test. So our ammonia is just over, probably just under 0.25 ppms. Sorry, it keeps cutting out, guys. Just under. It's not good to have any ammonia in the system. It's not a good sign. But like, you know, the amount that's in there is not going to be immediately or is not presently harmful to the fish. But it's something to keep an eye on. Having excess ammonia, even if it's just a little bit. It could be a sign that, you know, there's an anaerobic zone in the system, like not enough oxygenated water or oxygen is reaching a part of the system. It could be a sign that the biology is not fully developed and handling the amount of fish waste that is going through the system. Squirrels.
Oh my goodness.
It could be a sign of a young system too. Like young systems cannot process the ammonia yet. But generally, it's not a good sign. So let's have a look at our pH. But it's not something we need to address immediately. So we're at about 7.2. So we need to bring that down to about 6.6. So we'll add some acid to the system, and that's because we're adding tap water. And biological processes can also influence the pH. Like for example, if your system starts to go anaerobic, that is, you know, zones that are devoid of oxygen or deficient in oxygen develop in the system, you can get anaerobic activity, which will raise the pH instead of lower the pH. Algae in the system can also contribute to pH fluctuations, but that's usually less of a problem. So yeah, that's our water readings, and what we know is that we need to probably take a look at the filter and see if it needs cleaning, because sometimes elevated ammonia levels, you know, could just mean you need to clean the filter. It could also mean you're overfeeding. We're not overfeeding, but we definitely need to have a look at the filter. So I'm going to wash my hands because I put the test tube, and we'll pull out the filter. All right. Do you actually think you can get it, Anelli? I don't want to aggravate my sciatica.
Oh, sure.
Do you know how to get it off?
No.
So just like unscrew it from the pump, the pipe that leads to the filter. So yeah, I injured my back and I'm having sciatic pain, so I'm not going to attempt that. Thank you, Adele. But yeah, so we'll pull off the filter and clean it out. I need to get us a hose nozzle. Whoa, I almost tripped over that hose. That would have been bad. Yeah, but we just need a nozzle. Because we're going to need to pressure wash it. Have I talked about how much I love Tithonia yet? In other videos, sure. While Nellie's doing that, let's have a look at some of the Tithonia that's growing around. So, let's see, what time is it? 10:21. Yeah, we have enough time to clean the filter. It's okay if we go over. So let's talk about Tithonia diversifolia and why it's one of the most amazing plants you can grow in Southern California. So this right here is Tithonia diversifolia. Tithonia diversifolia is also known as Mexican sunflower. It's not the rotundifolia, the torch sunflowers. It's another species in the genus. So this is from Mexico and Central America, and it is one of the fastest growing plants on Earth. So what we have here are plants that are 2 months old. This one right here we just cut back. It had grown about 4 feet in a month. Beautiful sugarcane right here. And this one's been growing like crazy. Look at this absolute monster. So Tithonia diversifolia is amazing fertilizer. That's why we grow it. Pound for pound, dry weight, it's like chicken manure. And so you apply it by chopping and dropping it on the soil. You can make it into liquid fertilizer too. And it's free nutrients for your garden. If you're able to grow enough Tithonia, you never have to buy fertilizer again. And also other green manure plants. Don't just grow Tithonia, but Tithonia is one of the best ones. So I want to show you guys a bit more about Tithonia because Anelli's still working on the filter. So here's what happens after you cut Tithonia. This was cut about a week and a half ago. Look at all this new growth already. Tons and tons of new growth. And by the time it starts to get cold, so like in a month, it'll already be like super tall again. You propagate it by taking a cutting from the stem and sticking it in the ground. Sticking it where you want to grow. That's it. This one right here is almost done rooting. We put it in probably about 2 weeks ago. So Tithonia is amazing. You should grow it. You know, if you want free nutrients for your garden, if you don't want to be dependent on all of the fertilizer companies, and you're worried about like food security and stuff, and there being shortages of fertilizer because fertilizer prices are going up and oil prices are going up, then you should grow something like Tithonia. Any luck? Yeah, you unscrew it, then you pull it off. You actually took off the entire face of the pump, so we need to put that. Well, despite my sciatic pain, it looks like I need to go fix this. It's okay, you try. It's kind of confusing down there.
Yeah.
You have to like feel around for like the right part, and it's slippery. Yeah, aquaponics is, you know, it's a dirty job for sure. But you know, it's great. Yeah, so this is the part you need to screw off. I should have been more specific. That's going to the pipe. So, oh yeah. When we lift it out, we want to try and like not allow all this water to spill in. Yeah, all the gross stuff. So here's our filter. And we'll fix it after the video. We'll reinstall it after the video.
Alright.
So let's get all the gross stuff out. So I would say normally pour this on your plants because they love it. All the waste products produced by aquaponic systems are fertilizer. So let's get this on the ground. Why don't you point the camera towards the ground? Please stay shady and cool, phone. Alright, we're going to open this up. You can see these are the filter pads. I'm definitely doing some yoga after this. And they're not that dirty, but we should still clean them. We're going to demonstrate. So you want to put them on, not on mulch, you want to put them on a surface. Then we need to get the hose going. You can see we have rocks in the bottom of the housing to weigh it down. Alright, there we go. So, we're going to take the hose, I'm going to put it on jet mode, just spray. Look at all that.
Hold on.
This isn't even that dirty. Of course, it's going to run down there. Let's move my backpack. Do it once. Flip it over. Do it again. And you have to do this like every month or two. Aquaponic systems are low maintenance, but you know, most of the maintenance is this kind of stuff. And this one's not as bad. So then what we're going to do, we're going to replace these. So fine mesh filter, finer mesh filter. This is really like not very fine mesh. We need to probably get like some finer stuff. That goes first, then this. Then housing. And that's it. Okay, we're gonna fix up this system and get it going because it looks like the pump's not running now, so we need to fix that. All right. Thank you, everybody. If you have any questions, use the Ask a Master Gardener feature on our website. We will see you next week. Hopefully, we'll get to talk about mushrooms. We do not have our mushroom spawn yet. That's why we did not talk about mushrooms today, but we will. So, have a good one, y'all.